Hey guys, we're back again. For us, it's only a few seconds after we recorded the last one, but for you guys, it's tomorrow. We're about to go into Gameras 3, The Revenge of Iris. Well, with that name, I think that might be the monster. Yeah. So I don't think that's humanity's doing, if you ask me. But for all we know, the only thing I do know about this next movie, it does tie into Gamera's destruction across the first movie. So it could be more of a hatred or resentment for, given how careless Gamera was, for all we know. So it could be that, but who knows how they wrap this up. The only other thing I do know is it's going to wrap up on one of those cliffhangers where it's more like how it ended up to you. That's the only thing I do know. So let's check it out. No trouble right now, but he might pop up again at the end. So we'll see.
The giant turtle Gamera, certainly one of the most controversial subjects of our time. Earlier in our program, you stated the belief that Gamera could in fact exist.
That decision was made by the Commander-in-Chief. I do know that if Gamera exists, our world is about to face a calamity of enormous proportions.
Hey guys, we just got done with the movie and we got trouble here again. Mostly because there was a cat in the movie and...
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't want to stick around this time. Oh well, that was just for a little moment. But this was okay, let me put it this way. People say this was the best of the trilogy or one of the best kaiju movies of all time. It's hard to agree. It's hard to agree with it.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's not bad at all, but the more we think about it, it's a mess.
It's just like, you can definitely tell they were going for the more deconstructive angle on this one, which...
They've been working up to it, so...
It's just that it's one of those cases where the execution... There were a lot of good ideas, but there were almost too many ideas, and then they couldn't really execute well on much of them.
Exactly. I mean, let's go over each of the issues, that they do. Okay, first, they actually do play up... Now, at least according to the notes I've read from interviews from the director, he said he set up the whole notion of what would Gamera do if humanity became an enemy. And so he said he feels he saw that to a head in this one.
Was that the point? I didn't really see it.
The only thing I would see it is, we do see finally Gamera doesn't care about humanity. That much we did see. Because he completely annihilates Shibuya. And utterly, and especially there's a point where you see a Gyaos on one side of a building, there's people in the building, Gamera just turns and blasts right through the building, incinerating them all. It's like, okay, that I do see, but he's not turning on humanity at all. It's more like, again, it's like, oh, Gyaos, hey, don't care if you're in my way, fuck you. You know what I mean? Then there's the notion of someone from the past wanting revenge. Or in this case, a young girl. What would you say? Mixed bag handled or well handled? Mixed bag?
Mixed bag, yeah.
Ayanna she could have been better. I get it, it's Japan. Sometimes they do have it be where a lack of emotion is more showing of insanity. But again, that's only the director said. He wanted this movie to be about someone being driven to insanity by kaiju. And I kind of get that. Probably more so than the other point.
Yeah.
But it was not well handled. Ayanna is basically, her parents were killed when Gamera was fighting Gyaos in the first one. Okay, that was a perfect starting point. But then, as it went on, like you have other people saying, oh, he stopped Gyaos. He saved the world from Legion. Yeah, well, how would you feel if your if he killed your parents and crushed your house? It's like, again, okay, you can't argue that, but that's not insanity. That's just bitterness.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's PTSD as well, but this girl just has mental issues, but not as much as you would think for insanity. And that was what goes on. And then Iris, good lord, Iris was just so confusing. Because you have this creature that's been, apparently there's a legend that this family that's in her village is told, you have to guard it, make sure this rock isn't lifted so it's not released, yada, yada, yada. Then we're told it could be a Gyaos that mutated, or that it could be given how it activates while it hatches while Gamera is attacking everything, is it meant to be a countermeasure for Gamera? Who knows? We never get an explanation, and it's annoying. The biggest one being, is it evil, or did Anya corrupt it? Way too much to ask, you know what I mean? There never was an answer. Also, then we have the grand finale with, Gamera and Gyaos, and it's left very open-ended. That's the only thing I liked.
Yeah, I mean, it's a blazing glory head out into the sunset kind of thing, and that's the sort of thing that's just... It's sort of the adventure continues ending trope. Like, this isn't necessarily the end of Gamera's journey, even if we're not necessarily along for the ride. That's fine.
Yep, now get this. Originally, the director was going to have a ending where it's a post-apocalypse. No humans are alive, but Gamera and Gyaos are still fighting. But he felt like that's not the note he wanted to end on, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, that would have just felt
cruel,
needlessly depressing.
Yeah. But here, again, it just felt like... Now, again, a lot of the deconstructing is fine, but it's nowhere near as good as the first one. Mm-hmm. The first one really nailed it. This one just felt like it was way too overfilled. And then let's not get started on these two unnecessary characters. Nito something and this weird guy with a weird face.
Yeah, their purpose in the plot is to say a lot of cryptic, mystic, philosophical stuff and be creepy, and they don't do much else, really. Exactly.
They make Iris even more confusing, and it's like, what is their purpose being there? And at the end, they both die, and the creepy guy's like, his last words are, "This is so scary!" Black splat. And it's like, again, there's just so much. It just feels like Iris was meant to be the anti or the evil Gamera, which would have been fine. Have it be like it was another faction of Atlantis that created it. Mm-hmm. Something like that. It had the setup for it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Oh. Is that your phone or? Just a moment. Sorry about that. But what would you do to fix this movie?
I have a couple of things that I thought of that I think I might think of to fix it. For one, I would take those two unnecessary For one, I would definitely restructure sort of seeing Ayanna sort of fall into madness, sort of it being a bit more like a gradual creep, and then have something happen, say in Shibuya, that kind of just goes
pushes over the edge.
Pushes her over the edge. One thing that I really noticed was the destruction of the 109 building, which is kind of my mental marker of, oh hey, that's Shibuya. Have her have some family or otherwise working in there and have that send her over, and then have our creepy Mino and other guy go ahead and try to take advantage of that particular mental weakness of hers.
Maybe have it be that they were looking for Iris or a legend of Iris, and she got there before them, and so they're like, well, if we're not gonna do it, we'll push her over the edge and make her this weapon that we could deal with Gyaos and Gamera, because they're... Okay, here's one thing they believe in. They believe in that Gyaos is meant to trim the herd of humanity. They're of the belief that Gyaos is only doing this because humanity is at a peak point. Which, well, let's go back a bit. We find out that the reason why these Gyauses are popping up is because they thrive when there's no mana. And when Gamera defeated Legion with his big chest cannon, last one, he drained the world of all the mana. And thus, that's why he's gone on, the Gyauses are all awakening, not just the ones in Japan. So, again, it's him trying to clean up his mistakes. But, now, the stuff with Gamera and Gyaos, I'm not complaining about. Mm-hmm. You know what's going on. But I wish we got more about Shibuya. Was it the sole exception? Or is he being just as destructive everywhere else? They never make that clear.
Yeah, it's like they could have put in literally a around the world kind of clip show of that and could have done a lot to fixing that with very little effort.
Or even show it an aftermath photo.
Yeah, you don't even have to... aftermath newscasts. They've done that before. It would be a very simple way.
Yep. Now, we should also point out some of the returning characters like Asagi and Okama and I forget her name, the bird lady from the first one. Mm-hmm. They're all back and they were great.
Yeah, it was great to see the returning characters and sort of like what they'd been doing in the interim period.
Especially now, one other thing that is made clear, the reason why Gamera was such a good, better force for good in the second movie was because he was still bound to Asagi. Despite the fact it was implied on the first one that they severed that connection, but who knows. But once that was broken, that's why Gamera is so much more fiercer, which makes sense. But at the same time, and she at least had more to do here, you know, it felt like, and all that, and Ogama, boy, his fall from great, a assistant detective, to a watchman at a beer factory, to being homeless. But then he decides to climb back up and help out, and you're like, good on him, at least he's helping.
Yeah, it was great to kind of see that little turnaround.
Also, now, do you think we should have Midoma or whatever, you know, the kid with the stone knife? Oh, did we mention about him? I think we talked about him before, but I don't think we mentioned him.
Yeah.
He's of the family that was meant to guard Iris, and that they were given a stone dagger that's supposed to stop it. Never really, when he uses it, it does no good. The most it does is it does a little cut on Ayanna's face, and that's how it snaps out of her stupor, but that's about all he's good for in this. It's like he loves her and all that, but it's like, I'm out into nothing. Would you think it'd be better to cut him out, or do you think we should have done more?
I don't really have a good answer for that.
I just say cut him out. I say have Ayanna go, because here's the other thing, her resolution is stupid. I'm sorry. She basically finally gets fully absorbed by Iris, is starting to be like, oh, wait, and then when she's in there, she's seeing the visions of Iris attacking her aunt and uncle and the rest of the village, and then all of a sudden remembers the detail of, oh, Gamera was fighting Gyaos. He didn't just go after my parents in, you know, blind rage. It's like, people were telling you that! And all of a sudden, then she's like, oh, thank you, Gamera. It's like, I'm sorry. That's not how you let go of it, especially if you're going for insanity. I would have said, have it be she either gets too far gone, unfortunately, or maybe have to do something else, you know, like something else to snap her out of it, you know what I mean? But that was just way too cut and dry, and then Gamera heals her. And that was just as corny, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Lastly, the fight with Iris was interesting, but very lackluster, especially the way it ended. When you end with the mana cannon in the second one, this one he rips his hand off, makes it a fire fist, and then punches right through Iris, and Iris blows up. It just wasn't. And then compared to Legion, Iris was just way too CGI. And whereas Legion, while looked a bit CGI in a good way, it was still a great suit. But this was just, again, it was a messy send-off. We didn't mention the point sequence at the end of the second one, but we gave that one a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, that one was the best.
A bit clunky here and there still, but, you know, I mean, you know, some of the points. But looking back compared to this one, it kind of made up for some of those flaws. But this one, it's a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, it's just like...
Still good.
Still good, but the others were better. Too much spice, too many cooks spoiled the pot on this one.
Exactly, and not enough time to do it all. It was 103 minutes. They needed more for what they were going for. So, we got one more to wrap this all up. We got Gamera the Brave wrapping up the Hesse era. And it's not connected to this trilogy at all, but it'll be a nice palate cleanser, wouldn't you say? So we'll see you guys on the next one.